Good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to today's exclusive webinar hosted by AdvisorAlpha. So, before we move on, let's look at the five key market updates for today. So Sensex edges up on IT strength. The BSE Sensex closed marginally higher at 75,315, gaining around 77 points, led by technology and telecom stocks. Tech Mahindra, Infosys, and Bharti Airtel were the top gainers, while PSU and metal stocks weighed on the index. Second update is MSCI May 2026 rebalancing triggers FII outflows. India's weight in the MSCI Standard Index stays broadly stable at 12.3%, approximately, but the small cap index loses 15 constituents, reflecting weakness in the small cap universe over recent months. Crude down by about 5.45 percentage on MCX, and Hyundai are about to raise their car prices. They are planning to announce car price hikes about 12,800 rupees from June 1. They're gonna start with this increased price for their different models. Suzlon Energy posts standout quarter four results. Suzlon Energy reported around 45% jump in their revenue and a 39% rise in their EBITDA year on year for quarter four, reinforcing strong momentum in India's clean energy theme, a sector that many investors have underweight in their portfolios. Taiwan overtakes India in global market cap rankings. In a notable global shift, Taiwan has overtaken India to become one of the top five largest stock markets in the world by market capitalization. A reminder that emerging market competition for global capital is intensifying, making stock selection and timing more critical than ever. And that's sort of our today's topic is as well. So, moving ahead, just to touch upon some of the things, market moves fast but smart investor move faster. Today we have with us Mr. Ankit Choudhary, business head of mutual fund at AdvisorAlpha, who brings deep expertise in identifying market opportunities before they become obvious to the crowd. In today's session, Ankit will walk us through one of the most critical questions every investor is asking right now: why most investor will miss the next bull run, and more importantly, what you can do to make sure you are not one of them. From understanding market cycles and positioning your portfolio at the right time to avoiding the behavioral traps that keep most investors on the sidelines, this webinar is packed with actionable insights you won't want to miss. We have a live Q&A lined up at the end, so please stay tuned and stay at the end and drop your question in the chat as we go. We will collate them and present it to our speaker at the end. So without further ado, let's get started. Over to you, Ankit.
Hey, thank you so much, Akshay, and a very warm welcome to everyone who has joined this webinar. A very good evening to you all. So, before I start with today's presentation, I would just like to highlight whom this presentation is intended towards. If you are someone who is questioning their decision of investing in Indian stock market over the last 2 years, or if you are someone who is thinking whether you should be stopping your SIPs right now, uh, should you move your capital towards global market, and basically you are not able to understand what is actually happening. So today's data backed presentation is actually for you, because you will actually get a good idea about what is happening globally, what is happening in the Indian markets, what is the historical connection of Indian market of today, and let's say Indian markets since the Nifty has come into the shape. And we will see, why we are saying that a lot of investors will be missing on the bull run, which will definitely for sure come in Indian markets. So I will just present. Uh, yeah. So is my screen visible to everyone? Yeah. So we will start. So I will just walk you through what we will go through in today's presentation. We will look at what is happening in the market today vis-a-vis if we look at market in, let's say, September 2024, when the bull run was at its peak, and what is the historical connection of a bull run and a bear phase which comes in the market, what is happening in the global market, and why India is currently missing out, and uh, in relation to what is happening in the global market, what is the impact which is causing what is happening in the Indian market, basically global market में क्या हो रहा है और उसका Indian market में क्या impact पड़ रहा है. Then we will touch upon the one of the sensitive topic, which is about the SIPs, because a lot of people, as MF data came last month, we realized a lot of people are actually questioning their SIPs, and they are now canceling the SIPs, or let's say taking harsh decisions which can actually hurt their investments. And we will look about the valuation of the Indian markets now compared to the let's say a couple of years back, and accordingly what we advise to the investors. So we will move on. So अगर आप आज का मार्केट देखोगे, so today actually market closed even further lower. We today market closed somewhere around 23,500, and if you look at from the peak, which is on the September 27 2024, when market was at 26,277, market actually 10% down है in the last 2 years. Okay, so when the market is down or has given 10% negative return in the last 2 years, it is very, very obvious to question your decision. And if you look at the how this has happened, so first we got a very long bull run. So in COVID, after the COVID crash, market was at 7,500, वहां से लेके 26,000 तक. So in a 4 year journey, आपका पैसा almost 3 times, more than 3 times grow हो गया. एंड उसके बाद से इन द लास्ट 2 years जब आपको नेगेटिव रिटर्न मिलेंगे, तो ऑब्वियसली मन में क्वेश्चन आएगा कि क्या मतलब हो गया, खत्म हो चुका है इंडियन मार्केट में अब सारा जूस, शुड वी मूव टू द ग्लोबल मार्केट. अ लॉट ऑफ फाइनेंस इन्फ्लुएंसर आर ऑलरेडी एडवाइजिंग कि भाई ग्लोबल मार्केट्स में चले जाओ, एंड देयर इज अ स्ट्रॉन्ग रीजन व्हाई दे आर एडवाइजिंग फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल. ओके, so let us look at the historical connection first, then we will come back to the global market. सो इंडिया में एवरी बियर फेज जो आया है मार्केट में, इट हैज़ एक्चुअली कम आफ्टर अ बुल फेज, एंड आफ्टर एवरी बियर फेज देयर इज अगेन अ बुल रन दैट हैज़ कम इन इंडियन मार्केट. हिस्टोरिकली दैट हैज़ बीन द केस. सो अगर अपन .com बबल देखेंगे इन ईयर 2000-2001, व्हेन द पीक वाज एट 1800 ऑन February 2000, वहाँ से September 2000 में द मार्केट एक्चुअली सम टू अराउंड 850, विच इज़ 53% ड्रॉडाउन. एंड वहाँ से 53% ड्रॉडाउन से वापस इन द ईयर 2003, सो September 2001 market was 53% down, and year 2003 market actually recovered in 1.5 year time frame. We look at the global financial crisis, the stock market was at 6,300 in January 2008, and it actually fell down by more than 65%. So it came to 2,200 level in March 2009. So 14 months के around 65% capital erode हो गई. So it was a very, very tough time for the investors. But within a year, or let's say in just more than a year, market actually recovered and reached an all-time high. And similar story we have seen in the COVID crash also. And probably this is an ongoing bear phase, जहाँ पे although bull phase है, bear phase है, actually when the phase has crossed पता चलता है. But currently it looks like a bear phase, जहाँ पे from a 26,000 level, market actually went to 21,743 in April 2025, and it also went back in, I think, in April 2026, in March 2026. So actually में आप देखोगे तो 2 साल में our market has actually performed really, really bad, and it is very obvious for investors to question क्या आपने जो डिसीजन लिया है, क्या वो सही डिसीजन है आपके इन्वेस्टमेंट के लिए, अगर आप इन्वेस्टेड हो और अगर आपकी SIPs कंटिन्यू हो रही हैं. एंड ऑन दी अदर साइड एक फ्लिप साइड देखते हैं. सो हमारा इंडियन मार्केट इन FY 2026, फाइनेंशियल ईयर 2026 टिल मार्च, इंडियन मार्केट का नेट रिटर्न वाज नेगेटिव -5%. Whereas when we look at the global market, so starting with, let's say, the South Korea market, which is at euphoria, the return is actually upwards of 100%. So that means market में एक साल में 100% से ज़्यादा रिटर्न दिया है. And similarly, Taiwan TAIEX index, with powered by TSMC and everything, it has actually crossed more than 50% return as a market whole, इतने बड़े market में. And same is what we are noticing in US. So US market is also doing pretty good. And जब हम एफ आई आईज को सेल करते देखते हैं, सो दे एक्चुअली हैव अ रीजन. वन इज आवर मार्केट हैज सिग्निफिकेंटली अंडर परफॉर्म, दैट इज ऑलवेज देयर. ऑन टॉप ऑफ इट, what is happening is that हमारा rupee depreciation is also very very high. So if we look at the rupee in September 2024, it was at 84 level, and in May 2026 it has actually crossed 96. So more than 15% fall in less than 2 years. So अगर आप FII के point of view से देखोगे, first is our market has underperformed the global market, and then on top of it, the depreciation in rupee. So basically उन्होंने 20 से 25% तक अपना कैपिटल अगर इरोड होता है उनको दिखेगा, तो it's natural for them to run away from India and let's say invest in other markets. But they don't understand the structural strength of Indian market. But we as an Indian investor, we understand and we have to stick to it. So we look at why Indian market is underperforming. So rupee depreciation is actually a derived factor. So rupee depreciation हो रहा है because obviously crude oil prices has jumped to a different level because of West Asia conflict, because of Russia, Ukraine, and everything. So crude oil is actually above $100, and it is actually very very high. US may bond yields are actually high because US is again going through their own debt cycle, जहाँ पे the government is actually borrowing to pay the interest of the government bonds. So they have no option but kind of increasing the bond yields. तो एफ आई आईज जो यूएस बेस्ड हैं उनके लिए यूएस मार्केट में बॉन्ड्स भी काफ़ी अट्रैक्टिव हो चुके हैं बिकॉज वो उनको 4% का पॉजिटिव यील्ड दे रहे हैं, वेयर एज इंडियन मार्केट्स नेगेटिव यील्ड प्लस हमारे पास रूपी डेप्रीशिएशन. सो दैट इज वाई they will sell the equities, they will buy in US dollars, and when crude is rising, we are a net oil importing nation. तो हमारा भी ओवरऑल डॉलर हमें खर्च करने पड़ेंगे, एंड अल्टीमेट रिजल्ट विल बी कि रूपी विल अगेन गो थ्रू अ डाउनवर्ड साइकिल. So that is what is actually happening. And we saw that corporate earnings are also quite weak. So if we look at Nifty EPS growth, it was 8.2% in FY26, which was close to 20% in the bull years. So and on top of it, because of concerns related to AI, the IT sector also kind of dragged by 22%, which was holding a significant share of Indian market. So FIIs ने जहाँ more than 2.2 lakh crore बेच दिए in between January to April 2026, we believe there is one strong hero जो एक्चुअली में अभी तक इंडियन मार्केट को क्रैश होने से काइंड ऑफ बचा रहा है, which is the SIPs. So right from, let's say we look at starting with FY17, एक साल का अगर आप छोड़ दे बिटवीन फाइनेंशियल ईयर 22-21 जब कोविड आया था, उसके बाद से SIP वैल्यू और SIP कंट्रीब्यूशन एक्चुअली बीन इंक्रीजिंग, and it has reached to a level जहाँ पे we were contributing around 32,000 crores every month. So SIP was flowing into the Indian markets, and in spite of, let's say, FIIs selling 2.2 lakh crore in Indian markets in 2026 alone, October 2025 was the worst जहाँ पे more than 1 lakh crore was sold in 1 month itself. हमारा market crash नहीं हुआ. So this actually highlights the resilience that has been built in the market because of so much retail participation, and it is only increasing. It was increasing, but इतनी सारी चीज़ें हो रही हैं, ग्लोबल जियोपॉलिटिकल टेंशन हो रहा है, रुपी डेप्रिशिएट हो रहा है, वॉर्स हो रहे हैं, ऑयल प्राइसेस इंक्रीजिंग, एंड इट इज़ ऑल्सो काइंड ऑफ बीन सीइंग इन द इकोनॉमी जहाँ पे इन्फ्लेशन इज इंक्रीजिंग. सो इन्वेस्टर्स अब घबरा के SIPs बंद करने लगे, एंड दैट इज़ अ कंसर्न because if you look at April 2026, the net SIP inflow was actually fairly low. So in March we clocked around 32,000 crores as an industry, new SIPs आई, but in April 2026 only 31,000 crores की SIP हमने लॉगिन करी. इसका मतलब होता है कि जो ओवरऑल नंबर ऑफ SIPs हमारे मार्केट में हिट कर रही हैं उससे ज़्यादा SIPs कैंसिल कर रहे हैं. ओके So that is what is happening. Investors are canceling the SIPs. But is it right for them? थोड़ा और डेटा देखते हैं. So when market was at peak, the forward looking price equity ratio for Indian market was actually 24, which was actually higher than the long term average. But currently if you look at ki Indian market ka forward looking PE kya है, it is close to 20.5 or so. That means it is actually fairly low than the long term average of Indian equities. इसका मतलब है कि करेंटली जब आपके म्यूचुअल फंड्स कोई स्टॉक खरीद रहे हैं, दे आर एक्चुअली गेटिंग इट एट अ cheaper valuation from their long term average. And when you are buying a mutual fund, आपकी एनएवीज भी जब मार्केट गिरता है तो ऐसा नहीं होता है कि सिर्फ मार्केट गिर रहा है आपकी म्यूचुअल फंड की एनएवी नहीं गिरेगी, आपकी एनएवी भी इट विल आल्सो फॉल. एंड अगर सितंबर 2024 में लेट्स से आपकी 10,000 रुपये की एपी 100 यूनिट्स एक म्यूचुअल फंड की बाय कर पाती थी, सो you look at now you are actually getting around 15 to 20% higher number of units. So इसका मतलब ये है कि with the same amount of money you are actually getting a bigger pie of Indian equities. Okay, so that is what is happening. And now why I said कि SIP stoppage is actually an alarming, because March 2026 में the SIP stoppage ratio was more than 100%. So 53.38 lakh SIPs discontinue हुई versus new SIPs जो register हुई was only 52 lakh. इसका मतलब है net the total number of SIPs which were live kind of reduced. Okay, so जो शील्ड प्रोटेक्ट कर रही थी मार्केट को is kind of while it is there, it is still 31,000 crores we are clocking, but there are a lot of investors who are going to miss out on what. क्या क्या मिस आउट करने वाले इन्वेस्टर, दैट इज द क्वेश्चन वी शुड बी आस्किंग. सो वी बिलीव कि इंडिया की स्ट्रक्चरल ग्रोथ स्टोरी अभी भी बहुत स्ट्रांग है. ठीक है. So when we AI when we say कि why global markets are doing well, a lot of global markets are doing well because of AI. A lot of capital is flowing towards the AI company, and AI companies are contributing a significant portion of those indexes. For example, Taiwan, or for example, US market, जहाँ पे भी the top tech stocks which are also leading the AI race are actually the ones which are getting the highest share in terms of capital and in terms of valuation growth. So because of which right now obviously AI में एक euphoria बन गया है, एक bubble बन गया है, and this bubble will burst. ठीक है. And historically we have seen .com bubble आया, it busted in 2001, crypto आया, it busted in 2022, and any bubble which forms जब capital dry up हो जाता है, it will burst. So when it will burst, what will happen? Obviously then they will start realizing कि यार we have to invest in structurally good economies and structurally good business. So when we say about US economy sitting on a time bomb because the US government has to pay a lot of debt on the US bonds, and currently they are borrowing to pay that debt, that means they are sitting on a time bomb. Okay, the valuations are already high for major companies, and obviously we see a lot of risk there. But if you look at any oil increase cycle also, जब अभी currently oil is let's say at $100, more than $100, but any surge that has come in the oil prices in global markets has actually kind of reversed in the 12 to 24 months. सो ऐसा नहीं रहेगा कि हमेशा ऑयल प्राइसेस हाई रहेंगे. दिस विल चेंज एज सिचुएशन गेट्स बेटर. Oil prices will obviously get rationalized. When oil prices will get rationalized, so obviously the benefit will flow into the rupee and to our oil marketing companies and everyone. And then again, the FIIs which are currently, let's say, leaving India, they will start realizing opportunities within India, and that has always been the case. ऐसा नहीं कि FIIs first time इंडिया में सेल कर रहे हैं, बट हाँ पहले जब FII सेल करते थे हमारा मार्केट क्रैश होता था. इस बार हमारा मार्केट क्रैश नहीं हो रहा है. सो इट हैज़ बिकम मोर रेजिलियंट, and at the same time our structural story, India की demographic और the penetration of UPI and digitization, the infrastructure and now the energy में भी हमारा काफ़ी अच्छा infrastructure ban raha hai. So overall, as an economy, we are more resilient. We have seen a lot of pain, and yet we have come out of it. हमने 1991 की इमरजेंसी देखी है, एंड करेंटली तो in terms of forex reserves, everything, we are very strong. The GDP production is still amongst the highest in terms of large emerging economies. So we believe कि yes, India का time आएगा, अपना time आएगा, and the capital will start flowing back in India. But if you are someone जिसने अपनी SIPs रोक दी हैं, or you're thinking to stop your SIPs, you will be part of investors who will miss on the biggest bull run. So what you should be doing, and what we as Advisor Alpha tell you is, you should continue your SIPs, because you are actually buying more number of units, more bigger pie of Indian markets from the same level of investments जिसमें आप खुश थे in September 2024. Today you are actually getting more of it. So sale लगी हुई है Indian market में, like we say. And don't stop your SIP because of the fear that is one of the biggest wealth destroyer. And you should believe in India's growth story, structural growth story. Do not try to time the market. Do not go for whatever euphoria is happening in, let's say, जब कमोडिटी साइकिल है, हम कमोडिटी के पीछे भागने लग गए, अब यही का साइकिल है, हम यही के पीछे भागने लग जाएं, while we miss on the opportunities which are actually within our homeland. So, like Warren Buffett say, stock market is like a device for transferring money from impatient to patient. अगर आप impatient रहोगे, you will sell your equities, and definitely then you will lose on someone who has been patient and who has that confidence. So stay invested, continue your SIPs. If you have not, you should start SIPs. Now SIP करना है तो कहाँ करें? Don't worry, we have done the hard work for you. So we have shortlisted hand-picked mutual funds at Advisor Alpha. So we have curated collections, and we have expert prepared baskets with goals. So whatever is your goal, whether it is to retire age, whether it is to build wealth in the next 5 years, we have hand-picked and curated basket, diversified basket across different asset class. Yeah, and it's 100% digital process, so you can start your SIPs within 2 minutes of downloading the Advisor Alpha app. So you can just download the app and start your SIPs if you have not, and stay invested if you're already invested, and keep your SIPs running.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ankit. So it was very delightful and very informational, and I think our listeners definitely will use some of those. So yeah, moving next, I think let's see if we have some questions and answer questions from some of our listeners. Is there? Hmm, yeah. Okay. So yeah. So we have some questions for you, Ankit. So let's start with that. So, what is the biggest mistake people make when they start their investment journey?
Hmm. Good question, Akshay. So biggest mistake, there are a lot of mistakes which investors make. Hard to say ki what is biggest, but yes, some of the common mistakes which I have observed is, people first, they will watch some content online. They will think that they have gained enough knowledge, and they will directly jump into stock picking. Okay.
Right.
Or they will take advice from some random friend, some random telegram, and they will start with the stock picking. So that is one of the gravest mistake which I have seen people make. Instead of making an informed understanding that probably you are, if you are new, if you are a beginner, you should actually consult an expert, or probably take help of a SEBI-registered research analyst for the stock picking. people directly jump into the stock picking, or let's say they hear ki so and so stock is rising, so and so uh, uh, commodity is rising, and they directly go and start their journey there
Right.
without understanding it properly.
Agreed. Yeah, like when you make decision on half or incomplete information, it's always very dangerous. So
It
yeah.
is very very dangerous.
So moving on to the next question. So is it too late to start investing if you are in your 30s and 40s? Is it like
So it is definitely very late, because you should have invested since the time you started earning 21. But
right?
uh,
But
if you invest tomorrow, that will be again much more late. So start today. It's not late if
right,
you have if you have, let's say, 5, 10, 15, 20 years to
right,
keep your capital invested and let it compound. It is never late. Start right away.
right. So, so on that, for example, what should I focus on? Like, should I focus for people who have not started yet, or people who are in their different journeys of their investing? So, what should user focus on first? Saving and creating the corpus first, or start investing immediately?
No, no. So you should actually, those who want to understand what they should be doing. So we have in our previous webinar we covered there are actually 5 steps
Right,
to reach a point where you can actually start your investing. So सबसे पहली चीज होती है to cover the grounds, cover whether आपने अपना इमरजेंसी फंड प्रिपेयर किया है या नहीं किया है. So first and foremost thing is that you should prepare your emergency fund. Second thing is you should actually uh, buy your insurance and all the important things. When you are financially secured, that is the time when actually you should start investing in the stock market. And then you should have a good amount of horizon also.
right. So another question is, what should investor do today in order to prepare for the next bull run?
Right. So bull run and bear run. So I'll talk about my own experience. Okay. So I entered this industry in 2019, fairly before the COVID bull run started. Okay. And like any new investor, I thought that I can time the market. So that is also one of the biggest mistake when we are talking. Ki biggest mistake क्या होता है? So I didn't start my SIPs. I was waiting for I used to take chances कि जब market ज़्यादा dip होगा आई विल बाय, एंड जब मार्केट मुझे लगता था कि ओवर रन हो गया, आई यूज टू सेल. एंड आफ्टर अ ईयर और सो, और मे बी आफ्टर 2 years, आई रियलाइज कि आई हैव एक्चुअली नॉट मेड एनी मनी. उससे ज़्यादा पैसा मैं अगर सिंपली SIP स्टार्ट करता मेरा बन गया रहता. एंड आई
Right.
मिस द कोविड क्रैश ऑल्सो, फॉर दैट मैटर. ठीक है.
Hmm.
सो व्हेन मार्केट crashed, I was waiting. A lot of influencers were telling ki, it's tough time, don't start, and it can further go down, it will last. But since I have not
Right.
seen a cycle by then, so I kept waiting until the time I got some serious advice from one of my mentors who was a veteran in the market. And that is when I started my SIP. So what investors should do to prepare for the next bull run is start your SIP now in the bear phase. That is the best time. Okay.
Right.
And if
Yeah.
you need help with where to invest, so you should seek help of an advisor. So in AdvisorAlpha also, we have research-backed stock recommendations. We have mutual funds, baskets, goal-based baskets. You
Yeah.
can just pick what suits as per your goal, and you can start. As simple
Right.
as that.
Yeah. So that's all we have for you. And once again, thank you so much for taking time out and giving out this very crucial information to all of us. So yeah. So to our viewers and listeners, I'll say stay tuned for our next webinar, and yeah, looking forward.
Yeah, thank you so much, Akshay, and
Yeah.
to everyone. At Advisor Alpha, we believe that the long term wealth is created over a long term only. So there are no shortcuts in making money in the stock market. And
True.
keeping that in mind, we have actually prepared some of the very differentiated baskets, stock mutual fund basket, which are actually targeted towards different personalities. So if you're someone who is early in your career, we have
Right.
prepared first salary baskets for you, so
Yeah.
which you can use to get started with your investment journey. If you are someone who is looking for stability, we have a diversified all-weather portfolio for you, which diversifies your money across fixed income, across commodity, and across equity. So you can look for that basket. If you are looking for a very very long term and high compounding kind of a portfolio, we have prepared uh, a retire rich basket for you. And if you have a fixed timeline कि 5 years में ही पैसा बनाना है, then we have a 5 year portfolio as well.
All right.
And for everyone, how do you like this webinar? We would love to hear your feedback. And so we have the feedback link in the comment and in the chat box. So please share your feedback about this webinar.
Yeah. So, yep. Thank you, Ankit. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Have a good evening. Bye bye.